Our next question is from Olivia T. She says, my sales calls are so long, emphasis on so. I don't use a script, but usually just talk about my program, the client's issues, and we move right into the objections and close. How can I make a sales script so I'm not spending so much time on the phone?
Your first mistake is you don't have a script. That's why they go long, because you're having a conversation, not a strategy session.
Yeah.
Strategy sessions have a guideline, have a finish, have a start and a finish. And there's a process you walk the prospect through. I don't care how good you are at selling. I don't care how much you. I don't care if you despise sales scripts. There's nothing wrong with them. It's how you use them. No one is above the process. Doesn't matter. Even when I take a strategy session to this day, I still have my script in front of me. I still have it. Do I read it word for word? Like, okay, now tell me. No, but I have there as a guideline, because if there is a step-by-step process you need to take a prospect through to psychologically be willing to buy it, to be prepared.
Yeah.
It's like you're like, cooking chicken takes so long for me. I don't have a recipe book or anything.
That's true.
I don't have a process for how long to put in the oven. But like, I just kind of fumble with it, and then 4 hours later I have roasted chicken. Like, what do you mean?
That's a good point.
How do you cook or bake without a recipe book, right?
Yeah.
So in selling, your sales script is the ingredients, it's the recipe.
I love that. That's a great analogy.
The alchemy of a sales call. Monday, alchemy of conversations. Right? But it is that. And I'll give you an example. Eric and Brian came into my program at the beginning of this year, in February.
Yeah.
Mid-February.
Shout out the Zap twins.
They did about $22,000 within a few weeks into the program, because all they did was this. The biggest problem was this. They were stuck at $5 to $10 grand a month for a year, I think. Like, their best month was 15 grand, but that was like a one-off. Most of the time they were at like 5 to 7 to 8 grand. And they were selling a $2,000 program at the time because they were in beta. They were in high ticket. That's low ticket. And they would talk to 15 people and close one. And all they did was take my script and watch the training on how to go over the script. And they went from closing 1 out of 15 clients to closing 10 out of 15 clients. So that's how they hit 22 grand within 2 weeks into the program. And when I went to interview them, the interview's on our results page. And when I went to interview them, I'm like, what changed for you? He goes, we would get on the call. We had no script, no process.
Really?
Yeah, exactly what this person just said.
Stop.
They were like, we have no script, no process, no nothing. We would just get on the call.
Really, guys?
And we would literally pitch our program and just go, what do you think? That's what they said they used to do.
Stop.
I'm like, yeah, no wonder you're selling nothing.
I didn't know this was such a common thing.
I was confused at how they even got one sale.
I didn't know that was such a common thing. Wow.
So,
Olivia, Zap twins, you guys, why? Why are you doing this?
So I'm like, okay, and then what happened with my training? He goes, well, we got it. And we finally had a roadmap from like how to take a person from prospect to client.
Yeah.
And it works so well. And even the way you have the questions stated, because I have everything mapped out. Like, even not what you say, but what you ask. Because what you say is always going to depend. 100%. I don't give you a script to what to say. I give you a script on what to ask. Because asking questions could always be universally applicable. It doesn't matter who you're talking to. The questions have power. But how you respond to what they say, that's up to you. That's where the authenticity stays. But questions, there should be a flow to them. So he's like, even the way you laid out the questions and how you ask it, and the ending, like how you asked for the sale, it works so well, man. He's like, every time we did it, they just go, okay, let's do it. And I'm like, that's sick, man. So 2 months later, they joined, they started working with me closer, and they crossed 64 grand their first month working with me one-on-one. Then they crossed 101 grand last month. And again, I looked at their sales process, refined it more, and then they hired a sales rep. Yeah. So see, now they're doing 50 to 100. Now they hire a sales rep. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. So my point is this. Your calls are only going to go long if you have no start to finish process for it. Second, because you have no guideline to keep, like if there's no road to keep the prospect on track, you'll go off road, and that will cost 30 minutes alone.
Wow.
But when you have a sales script or a guideline, essentially, then you know when you're off track. Mm-hmm. So you'll know if this is a buying conversation or just a wasted conversation at this point.
Yeah.
That's what the biggest point of a sales script is for. It's not about like not being real or talking to them for real. It's not about that at all. It's about having a process to follow. So when you know you're not on road, you're off road, and you can come back on.
Yep.
That's what causes shorter conversations. We close high ticket clients in 30 to 60 minutes on phones because we have a process, right? Mm-hmm. And also, when you don't have a guideline, you end up succumbing to random thoughts or conversations or questions. Like you might start doing something that kills the sale, and it's because it's not a part of the process, but it's just a spontaneous
in the flow of conversation
reflex you had on the call.
Yeah.
And when you have a script in place like ours, you know what not to do and what to do only. So it secures the sale more. Anyways, we've helped a lot of coaches double, triple, even quadruple the closing rate on the phone. The Zap Twins went from 6% to 66% close rate. That's unheard of in the industry. But that's really the point of it. You need to have a sales script in place. Second one is this. Remember that the sale is made during the call, where you're asking questions to find out what the problem is and what's the cost of that problem and why they need to change it. Until they're convinced that they need to change it and they don't know how and they need your help, you don't go to money. Now, when you get to money, if you did everything right prior to the price part should only come down to one of two questions. How do I pay? Or do you have payment plans? And those are the only two buying questions I accept. Everything else means you did something wrong prior to the price.
Yeah.
Oh, it's too expensive. Oh, it's a lot of money. I don't know if I could do it. I'm going to wait a couple more weeks. I can't do that. What if this doesn't work? All of that just shows me I didn't do my job properly before the price. Now, when I talk to people, I don't take my own calls anymore, but sometimes I do. I don't usually take my sales calls, but when I do, you know what I mean?
Of course.
I close. If that person's if we're a fit to work with each other, it's closed.
Yeah.
There is nothing that can happen that can sway me off from them buying. So when I get to the price, every time the response I get is them figuring out a way to pay to work with us. Because I do everything right before the call. I don't even get to the price. I'm willing to cancel. I'm willing to get off the call before getting to price if I realize that we can't get to price without me handling every objection in advance. I'm going to say that again. I'm willing to get off the call without even talking about the price if I realize that I can't get to the price without this person overcoming all their objections in advance.
100%.
That's really deep.
It is.
But that's what people don't have the patience, the discipline, or the skill set on phones to do. That's what we train our clients to do. And this is not a course you can learn. It's not just even if I gave you my entire sales training right now, you would still fail because it takes critique, self-awareness, and coaching to get better at it. Yeah. It's a mastery process, not a learning process. That's why on our coaching calls, we review our client sales calls. I listen to them, and then I critique them, and I look at them. I'm like, this is where you lost a sale. And they go, holy crap.
Didn't even hear that.
They didn't even notice that. The funniest thing is this. My clients get on a call and be like, okay, skip to the 47th minute. That's when I lost the sale. That's when I got the objection. I'm like, okay. That's nice. But you probably lost it 4 minutes in. So I go to the beginning, and I listen, and
sure enough,
lo and behold, 7 minutes into the call, I heard the prospect give an objection that I realized if it wasn't covered right there in the price, they would have brought it up as an excuse to not buy. Yeah. So I'm like, and I heard my client not address it and move on. I'm like, that's where you lost the sale. Crazy, eh?
And it's nine times out of 10, it's the very same objection that they
almost the same, eh?
Close.
I'll give you an example. I was looking at one of my clients' calls, and the person was like, right in the beginning, because we asked right in the beginning of the call, we go, so why'd you book a call? What do you need help with? Essentially, it's how we should start every call. Why are we here? And the person's like, I'm in a job. I want to do this thing. But just generally right now, it's like I'm so tight on time. I don't even have time to focus on my business, and I really want to get out of it. But until I get out of this job, I won't have the time to do this. So, but yeah, I just need help with marketing or something like that. And,
yeah.
And then I heard my client go, okay, great. And then went to the next question. I'm like, what do you mean, okay, great? This person just literally told you.
That.
They just literally told you they're not doing this because they don't have time.
100%.
So I'm like, if I was on the call, I would have been like, so let me ask you a question. If you have no time, why'd you book a call?
Yeah.
And I would have made the whole conversation about that before we move on. Because until that was covered or addressed, they wouldn't feel settled. They wouldn't have a reason to buy on the phone.
And in the objection, what did she say? I just don't have time right now.
Yeah, literally.
I just don't, that's great, but I just don't see myself having the
No,
time
I even tell you, even if you do close it, you didn't close it really. They're just going to refund later because you didn't address the foundational fear they have, which is, what if I don't have time to do this?
Yeah.
And it's funny because my client did close them on a deposit.
Yeah.
But they called the next day and said, they literally said, word for word, I realize it's not the right timing right now. And so when I'm ready, I'll come do it. I'm like, that was 7 minutes into your call. Mm-hmm. And you waited a whole day to figure it out. So my point is, though, my client would have never noticed that. Never.
Yeah.
But we've done.
Would have
we've
thought
done
she was bad at closing. Would have
She
thought
would have taken it
needs to
personally.
Would have thought she needs to do objection handling, role plays.
And she did. She's like, oh, I need to learn how
She
to
literally, yeah.
overcome objections of money. I'm like, no. You got to learn how to make the person sell themselves before you talk about money.
Did you hear that? Wow, great point.
And if you guys book calls with us, don't you dare ask me or my team or anyone on my team what the cost is. For example, off the bat, we might even cancel the call because you're already in the wrong mindset.
Yeah.
Why are you booking a call talking about price? We're not selling shoes. You're not comparing my program to another program for pricing. If you are, that's probably why you're stuck in your business. I'm trying to be respectful when I say this, but it's true. Because people who actually scale a business are not worried about cost of return. They're excited about return. That's the equivalent of you being worried about putting $5,000 into a stock and not realizing you're going to make 15 grand back. Well, then you will always be poor. Because you're more focused on the $5,000 you have to spend and not focused on the 10 grand in profit you're going to make. So literally what it is. But we're going to handle how much is the program before an actual strategy session the same way, which is, it's going to depend based on your situation. I have 2 different offers. They're both expensive, for your information. None of them are cheap.
Whatever that means.
Because if you get a cheap one, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
So why would you want a cheap price? It's funny, because I feel like coaches book calls, or like people book calls, and they want the best, eh?
Of course.
They're like, I'm hoping that this is it.
Yeah.
This is the best thing. This person's going to help me get what I need.
Yeah.
But it's simultaneously, they're really hoping it's cheap.
Mm-hmm.
How is that working in your head?
Yeah. Have you seen that triangle that's like you can have it fast, you can have it best possible quality, or you can have it cheap, right?
I like that.
You can only have 2 sides of the triangle, but you can't have all 3.
It's true though.
It'll either be good quality and a pretty penny, or it'll be cheap and fast.
Yeah.
But you get what you pay for.
If you hire a coach that's not good at what they do, or amateur, they'll charge cheap to make up for it. But you save money.
Yeah.
If you hire a coach that knows they're good at what they do and can guarantee results, they'll charge a pretty penny for it.
Yeah.
But you're spending more money. So you're really you're your only problem. Because the approach. You want the best for cheap. You want the Lambo for the Toyota price. You want Tony Robbins for regular coaching rate.
Never.
No. You know, there's so much more I could give. Like literally, you want 50% return on your investment on $1,000 investment. But like a high ticket person understands, someone who's success minded, if they put $25,000 into a program, they'll make back $50,000. That's a good investment.
100%.
In terms of skill set. But someone who's only willing to spend $1,000 wants to get back $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
You know how many applications we get? where the answer says, where are you at in your business? They're like, $1,000 to $5,000. What's your budget to work with us? $500 only.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you want to make? $50,000 a month. I'm like, oh, nice. Let me know when you figure it out. Let me know when you find that program. I'll buy it. If you can find the program that's $500 to make you $50,000, I'm down.
Yeah.
I'll buy it.
Yeah.
The problem is, it doesn't exist. There's a reason why Udemy courses didn't make it millionaires. Okay?
It's so true.
If there's every millionaire I know has spent at least $50,000 to $100,000 into programs. The cheapest ones being $5,000, and that's cheap.
That is cheap.
Like I don't even like buying programs $5,000 or less anymore, $10,000 or less, because it's like I know the more I pay, the better I get.
Yeah.
But that's the problem, eh? Some of you don't believe it. You still think paying more is just paying more. There's nothing else. Mm-hmm. You think I'm gonna get the same value as a $5,000 coach if I pay them $50.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just paying $45,000 more than I should. No. If you spend $50,000, you're getting $500,000 worth of value.
Think about it.
Man, you guys, it's too much, man. Too much going on.
I think we should end the show now.
Thanks for coming, guys. Just take that one thing and it'll
You got
transform your
everything
life.
you needed for today. Thanks for tuning in.
So, sales script. Going back to sales training.
Yeah.
You need a script, you need training, and you got to know how to overcome objections prior to the price. End of story.